Well, we did the thing. We held this balance. We failed at the highs, and we're rotating back down to the low of this balance. This is our upper balance. This is what we were talking about yesterday. So we'll see what happens as we push down into 870. But 870 held as support after I left, and we failed to get back below 860. So nothing has really changed here. We're watching to see how we interact. We held our top edge. Now we're going down to our lower edge at 870 from our failure at 900.
So noting the S&P 500 here is pairing gains out of the open here. It's nearly flat on the session now. Brings us now 10 minutes away from the top of the hour, where we're expecting comments from one Fed's Paulson, who's the Philadelphia Fed president, who's speaking at the 9th annual FinTech conference hosted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, with the topic of FinTech, of course. A text is expected, but no Q&A.
But yeah, it is quite the volatile open. But it's just a full rotation through that balance. Wow, my Tradeify is so laggy.
And so again, just seeing the US indexes pairing pre-market gains out of the opening gate here. No news catalyst behind the move that we're seeing in the index markets so far. Bitcoin seems to be moving down with these risk assets as well. Just keeping our eyes out to see if anything has come out. Does not appear that it has, though.
What is this offer on ES at 82? Look at that thing. It's like 3K contracts. What is that? What are we doing? I expect one more leg down. I'm thinking we reject into here and then rotate down to 870. But we'll see. Pushing into that offer here at 82. Oh, Lord. Okay.
So in 5 minutes' time now, at the top of the hour, we're expecting comments from Philadelphia Fed President Paulson, who speaks at the 9th annual FinTech conference hosted by the Philadelphia Fed. Text is expected.
And so decent trade so far from 82. I'd like to see us push down to 70. Taking off one into that low. I want to leave a runner for 70. Another 6 points, but we'll have to see.
The S&P 500 Banks Index does hit a record high, however, amid this move, last up 2%. The Dow Jones Index is extending gains here, the up 1% now. One minute remaining to we're expecting the text release from Fed's Paulson. S&P 500 healthcare sector. Seeing comments now from Fed's Bostic and Fed's Paulson come through. Paulson does not comment on monetary policy or the economic outlook in their prepared remarks, but Fed's Bostic is to retire on February 28th, 2026 at the end of the current 5-year term, according to a statement from the Atlanta Fed. Anthropic are to invest $50 billion in new US data centers, according to the Financial Times. And for those interested as well, we've posted the full speech from Fed's Paulson on fintech on the feed. Again, there's no mention of monetary policy or economic outlook in this. Some more information from the FT. Anthropic says it will work with FluidStack to develop projects, and that data centers are to be located in Texas and New York.
Holding our pivot so far in ES. Just kind of keeping an eye on it. Seeing what we're gonna do here. Making higher lows so far. I think we could see one more leg up into 670 on NQ potentially. We're just keeping an eye on ES for a push into potentially 85. Into our 15-minute VWAP. Off of our hold of POC to value low. For one more leg down, we have to flip this yellow. Offer is very clearly here, but we need to wait for a bit more clarity, or you're gonna have to have a wider stop. If we can get over the 630, 70 seems very likely. If 630 holds, then there's no change. We look for failure back below 610 for continuation down. into our 85s here on ES. Full rotation from our 85 on ES. Back down to our pivot here. POC from previous 15. Previous day value high, etc., etc. Needs to flip this for the last leg down. Or we will just bounce here for the higher low. We need to see this. That's weird. I see my mic moving. Are you sure? I mean, I see it moving. So I don't know, man. This 30 flip has to hold. Our hold of our 75s on ES, no change, right? Just balance between the 75 and 85. Had no decisions been made, but we really want to see if we can get this next leg into that view up, or if this is going to continue to reject here. What's up, club? It's a great first risk off into 50 for 20 points if you're playing off of 30. Should see at least another, I don't know, 20 points, 15 points. At least potential. I've taken off 10 contracts.
So in 10 minutes time now at 10:20 a.m. Eastern Time, next Fed speaker on the slate, which is Fed Governor Waller, speaking on payments at the Philadelphia Fed's FinTech conference. No text is expected for Fed's Waller, but there is a Q&A. As with the last Philadelphia Fed event speaker we've had today, no live video is available for this event.
Flipping our pivot here on NQ. Same thing on ES. See if we can get back above 30s and our 78 on ES, or if these hold offer firmly for the rotation down. $40 till 15s. Should get a decision.
In 5 minutes' time now, at 10:20 a.m. Eastern Time, Fed Governor Waller speaks on payments at the Philadelphia Fed's 9th Annual FinTech Conference. No text is expected, but there is a Q&A. Also, we have found a registration link to this event. We've pinned it to their entry in the calendar if you're interested. All you have to do is provide your email and you can watch live.
What's up, Roy?
Spot gold rising nearly 1% to around $4,167.48 an ounce. So we're shortly expecting comments from Fed's Waller. Again, no text is expected, just a Q&A.
Pivot still holding, no shift. Well, let's just see if we absorb down here or not. I mean, they're definitely trying, but there's so much above us that we can hit our head on. Just waiting on Russell to figure out what it wants to do here after this little bounce at our 30-second opening range. We're below VWAP, so to me it's pretty bearish, but we'll see.
AMD shares extend a rally to more than 10%.
Pushing into target here at 70s off of our failure at 75 to 78 on ES. It's 8 points on ES. If you're in from higher, then it's your full rotation from our failure at our 85s following pathing. RTY starting to lead down. See if NQ can follow suit. So far, very sideways. This is RTY into our daily open. 40 seconds till new 15s. Retesting our edge off of a higher low. Should expect highs to be taken here, and then we have to look back down because of that. So the only look here, because we held a higher low, we take out these highs, and now we look to see if we can offer back below, trapping, or if this is going to now hold as supportive for continuation higher off of a failure. No change on ES. Russell pushing into our opening range low. Yes, into target here at 70. Off of another failure at our 75 to 78. We need to flip below 70 for more, or this will be the low. The key for extended downside is a flip below 70 and then a continuation back into our lower balance below 60, just like we talked about yesterday. 70 is the low of our upper balance. We need to get back below 60 for our rotation through our lower balance. You guys remember this? We opened and held our high of our upper balance. Remember that this is this value area here. We just held that and we just rotated down to target into our 70. This is a full rotation and from a failure at our highs, rotation back down to our lows. So now we have a decision to be made. The last time we were here, this is what we made decision-wise. We pushed below, right? We swept below our 70, retested it as our offer, and then continued downwards. We're watching to see if a similar fate happens this time. We are here. So we'll watch to see if a very similar thing happens here. If we push down and then offer 70 and then continue, if we can get below the 60 and offer, then I'd expect a full rotation back down to 30 at least into this low. But we got to get below 70, right? That is why it's been our target. And for continuation up, we need to see the 70 hold. We need to rotate over our 98 for more. It's just our upper balance. That's all we've done is rotate that.
In 10 minutes' time now, at 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time, US Treasury Secretary Bessent is due to be speaking at a New York Fed event.
Full rotation on our pathing off of our failure, and they'll look above, and then they'll look back below, offer rotation down into next target here on NQ into
Chevron
62.
CEO sees the LNG spot prices pressured due to high supply.
I'm out a few here on NQ after getting stopped
The
into
Chevron
our high
CEO
and then
says the
rotating back
LNG
in.
market will be oversupplied for a period of time.
Pathing was good. Pushing below 70s here. Again, we want to see a very clear offer and retest, ideally. See if we find a little bounce here, or if they just completely push us through. I'm expecting a bounce, but we shall see. I'm taking some profit off because of that. If we don't get the bounce, then we just look for the full rotation back down to 60, and then we'll see what we do from there. If we can get below 60s, then we can get and trade immediately into our lower balance. But I'm either expecting us to need to retest our 70 edge, or now our 64 to 66 off of a bounce from 60.
500 now down 0.15%.
Something like this. Or just an immediate bid back above, and then failure, and then rotation like this. One of these is what I'm looking for. Regardless, I've taken off a little. I have 2 contracts left on ES from 73.25. Yeah, I'd like to hold these for a much larger move. But we'll see. Gotta wait for Russell to lose some momentum again.
The Nasdaq turns negative in choppy trading, last down 0.4%. Brings us now 5 minutes away to expecting comments from Treasury Secretary Bessent, who is speaking at a New York Fed event. We've posted the registration link for this on the feed for those interested. Just requires an email address.
See if Russell can find resistance here into day open and then look down into our offer here on ES, watching our edge here at our 70s, previous day POC, and our reversion zone as well as our value edge. A little look above, but as long as RTY can start to lose momentum here, then we watch our NQ pivot into POC, as well as ES here into our 70-72-ish as Russell tests our opening range. And then we see if we can get a larger move down, or if this fails. Watching for a higher low here on Russell at our 30-second opening range low, off of looking back in. This needs to push below and not hold here for a higher low. We're waiting on an RTY. Price will be volatile on NQ while we wait.
Shortly expecting comments from US Treasury Secretary Bessent. Seeing comments from US Treasury Secretary Bessent repeats his guidance that coupon auction sizes likely will not change for the next several quarters, and says the Treasury is committed to safeguarding Treasuries as the world's benchmark for stability, keeping risk-free rates low. Existing financing capacity from current auction sizes and robust demand allow flexibility to manage upcoming borrowing needs, and says the Treasury will adjust issuance for auctions gradually to avoid market disruptions. Says reductions in US budget deficit and the Fed's bill purchase announcements provide time and flexibility to make adjustments to borrowing plans. Bessent supports reforms to enhance supplementary leverage ratio. Changes could boost demand for treasuries, and says that Treasury has expanded long end operations of Treasury buybacks and will expand counterparty sets in the first half of next year.
Immediate rejection off of our highs on NQ on our pivot. No change on ES. Just testing our edge. Russell starting to lead down again, just like we talked about. Again, expect volatility while we wait for Russell to do its thing. We have no confirmation of upside, just a bounce. We have not made a right side of V. Do not be stupid. It's just a reoffer until proven otherwise. Russell retesting lows after rejecting at our ORM, pushing back down. We're watching to see if we find relief here on NQ and ES, and if Russell can lead down further, or if we do just rotate just between these two, with NQ and ES holding higher lows as Russell retests the low. We need to see RTY start to lead down further, break those lows if we're going to continue, or again, this will be where RTY bounces, and then we balance, Oh, NQ and ES hold higher lows, trapping.
US Treasury Secretary Bessent, following the text release we saw, is now speaking live at the New York Fed event. We do have a registration link. If you wanted to provide your email, you're able to watch that live. Otherwise, we'll keep you posted with the headlines as they come through. According to the Nikkei, Japan is considering an increase of at least threefold in its departure tax.
Rotation on
Secretary
NQ
Bessent
off of our
says
pivot.
treasuries are more liquid and robust than ever.
Yes, pushing down back into our pivot flip. See if we can hold. Little look above on our 70s, but it means literally nothing on the higher time frame, which is what I'm holding for. Russell leading down, watching our edge. It's always not a bad idea to risk off into your given lows. I'd love to see continuation, like I said before, but always not a bad idea to risk off into your wick lows. See what happens. Russell starting to lead down, hopefully following NQ and ES follow.
Bessent says treasuries are the best performing 2025 developed nation market. Percent just commenting that daily cash trading of treasuries is around $1 trillion. Percent says we're going to continue to look to improve the treasury's buyback program. Percent says demand for treasuries is as strong as ever. Treasury yields extend full, 10-year yields last down full spot 5 basis points. In the Wall Street Journal, Microsoft expands data center build-out with a super factory site, according to the company. Microsoft's super factory data center will be built for AI. Microsoft's Fairwater network includes a multi-gigawatts for OpenAI Microsoft AI training, according to the company. Microsoft shares still steady, they're down 1% on the session. We have posted the Wall Street Journal article on the feed for those interested, as again, Microsoft expands data center build out with a super factory site. Treasury Secretary Bessent says stablecoins could grow tenfold by 2030 from $300 billion.
Zenki low is crazy.
Bessent says we'll keep monitoring investor demand for treasuries. And Bessing concludes their remarks at the New York Fed event.
Into our 60 here, boys. See if we can get the flip. NQ starting to lead down. We want 60 to go offer for next leg. Very important. Russell leading. This might be just as volatile, so I mean, you can take one off here if you want, and then just try to leave a runner. I'm out one into 60, and then I'm going to watch to see if we can get the flip here for the full rotation through our range with the runner.
The S&P 500 turns negative, the Nasdaq extending declines, so they're down 0.2 and 0.8% respectively.
Just like before, wait for Russell to lose momentum before next leg. Could see a full rotation up while we wait. These are huge pivots on the higher time frame. Russell still pushing up. ES pushing into next pivot into our 64, 68, 66. Watching for Russell into our highs here, seeing if this holds for the lower high. So we push in, and then if we can get back below and then lead down, or if this is going to flip, break down trend, and then go up from here. Unsure. This is just NQ retesting POC. No change from our downtrend on the higher time frame. Yeah, I can mark it. Initial reactions held, but higher lows so far. Need to push back below, or it does not matter. Did anyone watch the new season of The Witcher? I haven't watched it yet. How's the new cast?
Fitch ratings say the US housing economy cools further with higher costs and weaker demand.
If we can't get below our pivots here and we make higher lows across the board, this could easily turn into the low of the day. We need to see a very clear push below 60 and hold with Russell leading down. If Russell wants to maintain this pivot after this rejection and then we push above, and ES also holds a higher low, this could be a break of our downtrend across the board. Just keep that in mind. We need to see a very clear rejection and rotation down with RTY leading like we have been. So that's what I'm waiting on right now on my runner. If I should risk off and flip, or if this is going to hold and then continue down. I don't have an answer yet. All we know is that decent liquidity has stepped in
for those interested,
and is trying to now support our pivot from our upper balance to our lower balance. So we are really trying down here. We just need to see which way they're going to break it. Again, I'm just in a runner. I've already risked off into 60. Now I'm just waiting to see if I can add to this position or if I'm going to get stopped out. I get stopped out above 75. I'm fully flat on NQ and I hop in, so I'm just waiting to see if I can counter trend scalp while I'm short on ES, and see if we can get like a flip play here or something on NQ while we wait for a decision to be made. I don't plan on doing anything on ES. Either I get stopped out over 75 or I stay in this position for the rotation down, right? Like, so if I can get some sort of counter scalp on NQ while we wait for a decision to be made, that'd be sick. But nothing yet for me. Still waiting on Russell. It's doing the same thing as before, where it just chops sideways while we wait for it to either breach the high or low pivot. It's actually the same as what happened up here, so I'm just waiting. See if I can get this flip here. RTY holding our low.
Meta announces plans for a $1 billion data center in Wisconsin. This announcement confirms a news report that was initially rumored in April, and now Meta officially announcing a $1 billion data center in Wisconsin.
Russell full rotation or a little balance here. NQ bidding 70s.
Shares steady after that headline,
bidding
still down
66.
2.6%.
Rotating back up to 70, 72. This trade is already 20 points profitable from 70 into our 90. I'd like to see 611, 610, just a rotation to VWAP. We can flip over 30s, then we go up. If not, this is just going to be where the offer sits into 610, 630, that area. What's up, Cass? ES first target here into 70.72. Held our POC from previous candle, just like we talked about for that like potential right side of V is happening here. No break of our higher time frame downtrend, but it is setting up with the hold of 60. I've covered my NQ position. I'll wait for us to flip over 610, 630 for more.
French lawmakers in the lower house of parliament approved the article suspending pension reform. That's the French National Assembly backing the suspension of the pension age rise.
Like I said, just a counter trend scalp for it now. Just playing off of the NQ flip pivot while I'm in my ES short. That scalp alone now covers my ES stop. It's like $600. Oops, sorry. So I can now freely stay in this runner with a stop at 75, no issue, while we wait for a decision to be made here. Retesting our edge here on NQ. Same with ES. Russell trying to build a higher low here on our pivot. We can find bids across the board here. Looks good for another leg. Take out highs. If this fails, we'll watch for Russell to start to lead back down and then offer through. Right. Just watching to see if we've now tested our seller into these highs on both. We're now retesting our bottom of balance to see if a bid is here, and if it is, then we look for them to take out that high. This is just a basic balance play. Look above, bid, push into our offer, rotation down. We look to see if bid is sitting here, willing to take in and defend. If it is, then we look for a breach of highs and then a continuation up. If this fails, we look for them to offer below and then continue downward, just as usual. What happens if these guys get trapped here? Well, we take out lows, right? Offer is desperately trying to flip this. Russell still holding. $45 seconds till new 15s. This has to immediately look back over 70s on NQ for it to be valid, or sell side's going to take advantage, hold 70 offer, and then rotate us down from 50, trapping these guys above. RTY testing our pivot, still no look below. Keep that in mind. We need Russell follow through for this move to matter on NQ and ES. NQ and ES testing our pivot lows right now, immediate bids so far. Hold of our 70s on NQ, looking below 50. Russell trying to lead down. We need to see a bit more follow through on Russell, but this looks decent for the short if we can get the Russell follow through. Russell trying to follow through, looking for the reoffer. ES just full sweep through off of a failure at POC. Pushing back into our liquidity at 60s. I think there will be a better reoffer if you didn't get in. We'll get another rotational move, retest, I think. With ES going immediately lower. RTY hasn't really done it yet. Let's just watch our pivots on NQ again, see if we get the offer. I could see like a full rotation of this balance. Even if we like test lows here. I doubt we just like immediately take out our 510 495, but we at least get a bit of a bid there. So it's a good first risk off, but we are getting our follow through. I'm again expecting a little bit of a bid here on ES as we dip into this liquidity. So it's a good first risk off if you are playing the failure. And same thing on NQ into like 495 510. It should be a good first risk off. I need to see like a very clear flip, or I just expect Russell to find a bid at 61, and then we get a retest of this balance. I don't trust the move unless we see the break of the uptrend on RTY. That being said, like I'm in from 50 to 70, but like we need follow through, or I expect us to come right back up to my entry. So again, great first risk off here on NQ. Watch ES for a retest of our 60 with Russell bouncing here. I expect some sort of reaction here, and then maybe like an offer, and then a continuation down, something like that. That makes sense to me, unless we're just gonna like aggressively sweep, but I've taken off 2 on NQ after getting stopped there. Now I'm in one runner. into our lower edge. So I'm watching to see if we get any sort of offer here, expecting some sort of bid and then retest to get back in and then continue downwards with size, get back in with size. We'll see. If we just flip this immediately, it's fine, but I'd expect a retest, seeing if we're actually trapping these guys like we talked about. But Russell is the most important factor. If we don't get any bounce on RTY, then we shouldn't expect it on NQ and ES. Little reaction here so far. You see what I mean?
In 10 minutes time now, at the top of the hour, we expect the release of the EIA's short-term energy outlook report.
So we're getting our Russell bid, which is giving us our inflection retest on ES, and as well as our low holding on NQ, which is why it's our first risk off. Now we'll watch to see if our offer can maintain here, trapping these guys above, and if we can then get that continuation down like we talked about. Wait for Russell to find that high, that lower high, and then we'll get that secondary leg. Hopefully, that's at least the idea. Giving you a re-entry or an opportunity to get in once we see that loss of momentum for that secondary sell, if you were unwilling to play the pivot. We need to see that loss on RTY. If we don't get it, right, it's just going to be a look below and then fail, and then a look back above and then hold. We want the secondary leg. We need Russell loss of momentum and a lower high. It is incredibly important, or our pivots still maintain. I can't stress enough the importance of Russell momentum loss. Well, the thing is like either this holds and then we moon rocket up from sell side failure below 60s on ES, right? And then we just bid back up with Russell then maintaining, or we get our rotation of yesterday's value, right? So like it's a major level because this is our low target, which is why I continue to risk off here and just scalp it. But if Russell can lead down, then we have so much room on ES. We just need Russell follow through. It doesn't even matter where Russell goes. We just need lower highs and a break of our pivot because we know where it's going to go on NQ and ES. I just need downward momentum for it to play. Because there's an argument for both sides, right? Like again, like this was target. So now that we're here on the higher time frame, it's just like, can we get the lower high and can we get these guys trapped? Because if we can, then we can really start to lead down back through yesterday's range. But we just, it's hard. It's going to be very hard for a lot of people here because of how volatile we are. You can't be trading like mass leverage with tight stops into our pivots. Things aren't as easy as that today. But like on the higher time frame, like we're still just in a downtrend. You know, like you have to just respect that. Like there's been no break of that as of yet. So I'm just trying to find the best possible pivots that we can play short term while that's happening to add back in while still trying to maintain my higher stop. It's tough because if Russell doesn't want to break this and we don't trap these guys here on NQ and ES, like we're gonna go up, not down. So we really want to see some like clear follow through and have some like new trap participants here to play off of for the next leg. Yeah, I know, dude. I get you, Michael. It's hard. Because instead of 10 points, our stops are 20 points, right? So it's like you have to trade half size but larger stop. It's nice when we have really tight markets that are only 10 points of risk on pivots. Yeah, it's much better.
In 5 minutes' time now, at the top of the hour, we see the release of the EIA's short-term energy outlook report.
I don't know. These lows suck. Yeah, they do add up.
EU readies a fresh investigation into Google over news publisher rankings.
But psychologically, it's just like it's very hard
Alphabet share
to
steady, still down around 2.5%.
See the bigger picture with that. You're like, I'm trading less size, like I'm not gonna be able to make as much, and then you end up like losing twice as much and making nothing because you're still trading your larger size with wider stops. It's like you just have to like, it's just accept the process. In these kind of markets, I try to be greedy in my runners, but not greedy in my initial size, right? So I try to hold for longer for the higher time frame move, but I'm still risking off on my main pivot and then try to average down. And then like we saw earlier when I posted, it's like I'll try to make up for any potential losses from doing that with counter trend scalps in the opposite direction to cover my larger stop that I'm building. If I can make a couple one contract NQ trades that net 600 per, that makes up for any losses that I have on my ES position that I'm trying to build out. That's more, I guess, advanced, you could say, but like it's something that you can do. Is like if you're in a higher time frame position and you don't think that anything's invalidated on it, you can still counter trend scalp on our known pivots. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't trade massive size. Just play the pivot to pivot and balance while we wait. And that can then alleviate some of that emotional pressure that you have to be like, oh, I gotta close, and just let the thing be. I don't know. At least for me, that's how I sate that. Dude, it is so cold, and I don't know what to do. I don't know why I'm freezing. It's like 73 degrees in my house, and I'm shivering. Like, what is going on? Am I dying? Old, yeah. Sadly. There was a time where I would be wearing shorts and a t-shirt outside in -10 and be fine. Now I'm like 17 layers deep with like wool socks on and gloves and like still shivering my ass off. I used to snowboard with like just a sweater,
We are shortly
just
expecting
like
the
jeans.
EIA's short-term energy output.
Can't even imagine doing that now. Be on the slopes in Colorado and just be like, no, it's fine. Not cold at all. Now I can't even like walk outside for 5 minutes. Bundled up without like a sniffly nose. Feels real bad, man. With weather is crazy. Like you don't have like hurricanes. I think I might have to seal my windows. Like put the plastic on them. Because like I'm getting like a chill. Even though it's like hot in here, like I think that's what the problem is. Well, I've got like big loft windows, you know? So it's kind of like it's the problem with having high ceilings and big windows is it's just kind of cold. It's hard to heat. Like it looks cool aesthetically, but kind of miserable. I really don't want to have to plastic my windows. It's kind of lame.
So the EIA's current year crude oil forecast at 13.59 million barrels per day from 13.53 million barrels per day. Forward year crude forecast 13.58 million barrels per day from 13.51.
Can we make a decision, please?
Some more info from the EIA steer report. They say 2025 WTI price average of $65.15 a barrel. The prior forecast was $65 a barrel. They see 2026 forecast of $51.26 a barrel, up from the $48.50 that they saw previously. For Brent prices 2025, they expect an average of $68.76, which is up slightly from the $68.64 a barrel that they saw previously. For next year, they see a price of $54.92 a barrel, which is up from the $52.16 a barrel that they saw previously. So the EIA sees this year's US oil output at 13.59 million barrels per day from 13.53. Next year, they see 13.58 million barrels per day, up from 13.51 million barrels per day. They see 2025 US natural gas output of 107.7 BCF a day from the prior forecast of 107.1. They see 2026 demand of 107.8 BCF a day, up marginally from the 107.4 BCF per day they saw previously. We have posted the link to the steer report on the feed as well for those interested.
Tell me that this isn't going to exactly happen. Like, why do you think this is of course this is gonna happen? You give trolls power, like it's immediately going to be abused. I mean, if we continue to fail here, Grotto, I don't know. I think we get movement pretty soon, and it might not be the way we want it to go. We're not sitting here for long. I need to see someone sweep the shit soon, or we're going up, not down. I really do not want to get sick, man.
In 10 minutes' time now, at 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time, we are expecting comments from Fed's Bostic, who speaks about economic trends at the Atlantic Economics Club. Text and Q&A, both expected.
Holding our previous low here on ES with POC holding a supportive, back to our pivot. Russell still holding. No shift there. NQ still holding. No shift, but an inability to push lower. POC is holding from previous candles so far. Yeah, I mean, again, like it's either we flip back into our lower balance room, or this holds as our low and then we pop up. I mean, it's such a decisive point. I'm not set in either direction either. I just have to be ready for it. That's all I'm saying. Like, there's very clearly someone trying to defend this, right? But I can't play it. Like, I don't know how to play it. I have to wait for right side of E. So I'm just gonna stay in my short from higher on my runner, and then we'll make a decision later. Either I get stopped out and then we play the upside
We
rotation,
have posted out the video
or
where Bostic will be speaking
I
on the
win.
feed for you to watch.
You know, like I don't know. There's very clearly someone trying to buy down here on our pivot. Yeah, and I think that's the best thing you can do. Here, we can clean up our ES chart while we wait.
Fed's Bostic says price stability still clearer and urgent risk facing Fed. Price pressures look to persist until mid to late 2026. Moving policy lower risks feeding inflation beast. Unemployment rate characteristic of balance sheet labor market. Unemployment rate characteristic of balanced labor market. Labor market shifting but not clearly weakening. Bostic favors holding rates until inflation is moving towards 2%. This is a Bostic's release speech earlier than expected. So it was expected to be released at 12:15, being released early here. So also here, Bostic says data from Atlanta Fed surveys point to decisively to continued upward pressure on prices and costs. Firms surveyed expect to raise prices well into 2026 and by substantially more than 2%. Inflation expectations not confined to importers directly affected by tariffs. We cannot breezily assume inflationary pressures will quickly dissipate after a one-time bump in prices from tariffs. Serious trouble awaits if inflation expectations for medium and longer term drift upward. I see labor market shifting rather than weakening, and don't read available indicators from recent months as a clear signal the labor market is weak. Real-time indicators signal job market is in a curious state of balance, and I'm not detecting unambiguous signals of serious cyclical labor market downturn. I do not view a severe labor market downturn as the most likely near-term outcome.
Full rotation here on Russell off of another failure at our highs.
So the video has
See if we
started
find
as well,
another bid
and Bostic is on stage.
on NQNES, or if Russell can start to lead this thing down. I don't know if you guys want to listen to Bostic's, but I'll put it up on the feed.
We have also posted our Fed's Bostic speech on the feed for you to read through.
$40 seconds, 2015s. Full range rotations here again. ES holding our 60, rotating back up to our 70. See if 70, 75 holds, or if this flips. RTY, full rotation from our low. Same thing as before, just in a full oscillation off of our low bounce on RTY. NQ into our pivot here, watching to see if sell side gets stuffed into 70s and pushes back below 50 for offer for a full rotation down, or if we can hold here and then rotate up. Full rotations once again off of our Russell failure at highs, ES into 70-75, NQ stop into 70s and push back below 50s for a rotation down. There's been no change on any of our pivots. Sell side still sitting exactly where it was before. Russell starting to lead down, watching our retest into our low. If that wasn't obvious before, this is a great first risk off as Russell is into our low. ES has done full rotation back down, etc., etc., and Q back to POC of previous candle. We have not broken either side.
At the bottom of the hour, expect to hear from Fed's Myron speaking in a fireside chat at the University of Cambridge Judge Business School. No text is expected, but there is a Q&A with the moderator. So the key topics then will be about the US economy and beyond, how the Fed monetary policy decisions shape not only domestic inflation and employment, but also influence global economic trends. And just talking about the interplay between US monetary policy and other central banks and its effect on international trade and financial markets. And then finally, Federal Reserve evaluates how the Federal Reserve evaluates global risks and coordinates with other institutions to respond to worldwide economic challenges. Those are the key topics.
Russell bid at low, allowing for another rotation on ES and NQ. Watching to see if we put in a lower high here. Ideally into like this 50 on NQ with ES into like 66. That'd be ideal, right? If sell side was going to step down with Russell not doing a full rotation back up. Let's see what they do. Again, no break of either direction yet, right? We need very clear shifts of our pivots. I'm just telling you where I'd want to see our offer step down if it was going to do it now and not just do another 19 different rotations in balance.
So just a reminder, there's no live video for Fed's Myron that's available. It's an in-person event.
This is thrilling.
About 3 minutes to go until we're expected to hear from Fed's Myron in a fireside chat at the University of Cambridge. Again, no text expected, but there is a Q&A with the moderator. Surely expected to hear from Fed's Myron.
All right, well, we're holding POC of previous 15-minute candle so far. This is definitely the buy-side attempt here. The only problem is that Russell is completely diverging. Which is not giving me confidence. But we did hold our low, and we did find a bid and rotation up from it. My concern is that it doesn't matter. See what happens here into our RTY low again. The risk isn't terrible here of playing Russell, honestly. Stop below 50, 59, like 20. Buying this 61.6. We're going to hold, or even that offer at 64.6 to 66.4. Like either one of those edges looks pretty solid. Just play the rotation up. With this Russell low, not bad. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna sit here and wait for this move to play. We'll see. It's about that time, boys. Give it maybe like another 30.
According to a report here on X, they say that House Democrat leaders will file a discharge petition for a 3-year extension of Obamacare premium tax credits. So according to a Punchbowl News reporter.
I just risked off 1 on Russell from that low. Good hold from our previous 15s, like we talked about. Right side of V is still holding. Need to flip our pivots though, see if Russell can get this shift. If we can do that, then we're good to go. I still would like to see us over
Trump
this
administration
30.
backs bill ending shutdown and saying that Trump would sign.
I still think that we get one of these.
Just keep an eye on the S&P 500. Just think
We'll see.
a little bit of movement towards the upside. Not really a whole lot of movement there.
I'm out 1 more on Russell, and I'll leave a runner from this 61. And then I'll try to hold that. I'm flat on ES. Actually, that's a lie. I flipped on ES at 75. I forgot I had limits there.
So the Trump administration issued statement on bill that would end the shutdown.
Let's see what they do. We want to see Russell very clearly hold here and then rotate up. If we fail and we look back through, it'll just be another great short, trapping in the same place.
White House's House says government shutdown will impact this quarter's GDP. White House economic advisor has it speaking at DC Economic Club.
I'm out 1 of my ES at 80 from 75, taking 5 points, leaving a runner. I'm long NQ and RTY and ES right now. Just an FYI. My only short was from 75 before on ES, and I got stopped and it immediately flipped it. And I'm long from NQ low and RTY low.
Cambridge. Hassett says GDP could be between 1.5 to 2% this quarter. Hassett says GDP for the year will be about 2%.
Yeah, the adhere 30-second opening range low. Sounds good to me. This is RTY VWAP though, offer like pretty heavy at 70.
There's no live
so
video
we'll
for
see.
asset.
It's also our 30-second opening range low on Russell.
Asset says supply side policies will allow growth without inflation. Asset says inflation isn't all the way where you want it to be. Asset says that I agreed with previous two Fed meetings that it was time to cut rates. Inflation momentum is pretty directional.
Yo, these probably slap. How are we feeling about these?
Asset says that the Fed is unlikely to cut by 50 basis points. Fed's Myron says that Fed policy is too restrictive. Also, the Fed bids for 10-year notes at $6.5 billion. Asset says the Fed is more likely to do a 25 basis point cut. And I agree with Trump that rates can be a lot lower. Asset says if I'm at the FMC, I'm more likely to move to cut rates while Powell is less likely. Asset says if asked to be the Fed chair, I'll do it.
Bostic just said prompt engineers of the future, basically. It's crazy.
Asset on the US dollar says strong dollar policy is a sound policy. Any country needs sound currency. So again, asset on US dollar saying any nation needs sound currency. Asset says if you want inflation to take care of the deficit, you're on the road to a financial crisis. Asset adding that historically the dollar is strong now.
All right, let's see if we can find a bid here, boys. This is our retest of our pivot across the board. We took off risk into 610, 630 on NQ. Just like we talked about, we need to push above that 630 for more. We're now retesting our 550, 570, seeing if we can hold here and then bid above. ES holding into our 870, 875. We're watching to see if this flips, traps, and then rotates back through, or if we can sustain here and then bid. Should be, if Russell can hold our flip as well, then we go up. If this fails, then we just retest our 30-second opening ranges and then showed no desire above.
$42 billion of 10-year notes.
And then we die.
Prior bid cover of 2.48, prior high yield of 4.117%. This is looking at just some prep then. 10-year treasury yields are about 4 base points richer on the day ahead of the $42 billion new issue auction. After gapping lower at the open following weak ADP jobs data released Tuesday when the cash market was closed. $25 billion 30-year bond auction Thursday concludes this week's quarterly refunding. Hassett says US fiscal deficit could drop by $600 billion this fiscal year. Fed's Bostic says that there is a debate about the extent to which productivity is rising. Also, to go back to then some more prep then. The latest CFTC positioning data shows speculators were net short 259K Ultra 10-year note futures and 844K 10-year note futures, possible sources of covering demand for the auction. Hassett says deficit drop is 1/3 tariff revenue, 1/3 tax revenue due to the economy, and 1/3 spending reduction. Hassett says we are reducing deficit relative to target, and I'm bullish about growth. Hassett says that we will use future reconciliation bills to address the US economy. Bostic says that firms are telling the Fed that policy is restrictive, particularly in housing and
Need to
other
get over
rate-sensitive
90.
industries.
Or this is going to be a lower high from our pivot. Russell held our pivot, rotation up, NQ held our pivot, following pathing. Again, first risk off has to be 90 if you are playing this. We're looking for a higher low here at 70s, and then a rotation into 90, and then 610, or this offer is going to maintain, make a bear flag, push below 50s, and then continue downward. Watch Russell for loss of momentum. Russell is the market.
Hassett on housing says, I don't know if Trump has decided on 50-year mortgage. Fed's Bostic just commenting in the Q&A part now. Hassett says 50-year mortgage could make it easier to get a home. It was about 5 minutes ago till we get the 10-year note auction, with the prior high yield of 4.117%, prior bid cover 2.48.
I'm attempting to raise my average on Russell from 61 to 64.80 here. Stop just below this wick low. I've moved my entry from here to now I've averaged up into this low. Watching to see if we can build here for continuation, or if this is going to fail and stop me out and then rotate through. Here, I'll post it in chat, just so you have an understanding of what I'm talking about. My average has moved up. And again, like we got to get over this 90 at least on NQ. We're trying to build, but this build is just like so slow. If this rejects and then rotates down off of this, that'll be bad. But we are trying to hold higher lows, higher lows, higher lows from our low. We can get over that, at least look back into here. We can at least get that full rotation, and then we either go down or we'll bid up, right? We'll see. Regardless, our edges are holding so far. Our edge of value from our previous rotation, it held, right? Now we need to break the downtrend, show interest, push into that ORL at 87. We have 500 contracts at 470.30 on Russell there. So as we push up into these highs, I'm going to risk off one, and then my average will have moved up to the 66, and then I'll leave that stop at 64. And that'll be my risk off, and then my rotation, my average up. So pushing into our 69 here again, taking off one into these highs, and now leaving my runner on our new average.
Hassett on tariff case says the emergency case is really solid.
Full rotation
Myron
here on
refers to
NQ
independent
from our
brokers
lows.
for stablecoins.
First risk off here. Need to step over
Passive on
630
trade
for
says,
more.
We're looking at options and alternative authorities if Supreme Court rules against administration in tariff case.
This is your first risk off on ES as well from our hold of our edge, just like we talked about across the board, following pathing.
Also, a reminder at 1 p.m. White House Press Secretary Leavitt is due to speak. We'll pop it. The video is on her name on the economic calendar. We'll pop it on the feed as well. Also, surely expecting the 1 minute ago to get the Wendy shoot for the 10-year, and surely expected to hear from White House Press Secretary Leavitt.
I'm risking off a little NQ here. We push into our previous highs here into our 15. 10 to 30 area, doesn't matter. We gotta flip it.
Level adjust effect, not inflation.
Gotta flip it. This is just a reoffer. Yes, into our POC of previous candle. Again, need to look above 630
We have posted out the
with
video
Russell
of
lead.
White House Press Secretary
Ideally.
Leavitt on the feed for you to watch. Ten seconds to the when issued. Four
New
spot
15s.
08 as 4.068%, 4.068% for the Treasury when issued for the $42 billion auction. So again, 4.068%.
Yeah, I've got 10 contracts left, Grotto.
As it says,
70.
we're considering the use of Section 301 and 122 tariffs
5
as
left now.
fallback.
This offer at 70 on RTY is still holding strong at our ORL. Need to get over this. Well, this is all we get. This will probably be my last trade, and then I'll just leave it as a runner with a break-even stop, and then see if we can get some expansions. I go let my dog out. We'll see. I mean, you don't have to play the Russell Club. I mean, these moves were pretty predictive on NQ and ES. Just playing, you can play the same pivots, right? Like that's my entire point of the last 2 days. I've tried to really like show is that we just look for where that momentum will step back in, and that allows
price of imported goods from China and other nations
for NQ and ES to also get that follow through. And so all we need to do is find where those pivots are across the board, and then look to put risk on into them once we start to see RTY show interest again. But we don't want to be playing our pivots preemptively on NQ and ES until we see Russell start to show you know, that strength again, or it's just like you're too early.
Four spot 0.74% for the 10-year note auction. The bid cover of 2.43. The US selling $42 billion of 10-year notes and awarding 97.52% of bids at high. Primary dealers take 10.45%, direct 22.55%, and indirect 67%. So that's a tail of 0.6 base points.
I love that Rory came in here for 5 seconds, said hello, and then dipped, and then that was that.
Seeing the US Treasury 10-year yields pair declines after a 10-year note auction last at about 4.8 base points at about 4.062%. Hassler says 129% job creation this year has been native born.
This is the newest story of today. And we wonder why the government's shut down. Word. There's the full email. I think I might just, I don't know. I don't want to sit here all day, guys. I don't know. We've caught a lot of really nice rotations. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to get baited. Yeah, that kind of goes out of the window when you, when it all gets seized. Can we hit 30s and touch grass? I don't know. Maybe. If Russell finds a bounce here, yeah, probably. But I don't know. I'm losing patience, and my doggo needs to go out. I'll be right back. The one thing I don't like about this new place is that there's no dog run built in, so I actually have to go outside. Like I can't just, like I have to like bundle up.
The White House is more efficient than Trump's first term.
Becomes like an entire ordeal to let my dog out instead of just going down to the dog run on the 5th floor. That is like actually detrimental. Yeah, because instead of me being like, all right, I'll be back in like 10 minutes, boys, you know, like I don't even have to like get dressed, just like put on a hoodie and go downstairs. Now it's like, no, I need to like get fully dressed, put on my boots, put on my coat, go down, walk to the park, let her out. Becomes like an entire process. So it's like
Myron says we should not take inflation data as face value.
every time that I have to let her out, it's just like, all right, well, that's the end of me trading for today. Before it was like, oh, I'll go grab a coffee. We can continue trading for the rest of the day. I'll sit here for the entire shift. Like, hell yeah.
Hassett says he sees less turnover in the White House than in the first term.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that wasn't great. Have I used the pool yet? Yeah. I swim almost daily. I need to I think my subscription to Whoop just restarted. I need to start wearing that again. I like had paused it, and then I think I just got a notification the other day that's saying that it was unpaused. So I probably should start wearing it now that I'm paying for it again. Yeah, I should probably upgrade it to the new one. I don't know. I want more data though. I don't know.
Myron says elevated inflation is due mainly to measurement process.
Like I actually might get an Apple Watch. Yeah. I think the Apple Watch is like actually good.
Negotiations are an ongoing process.
Really? I feel like the watch is like the one good thing they actually do. Oh, that sucks. How do you charge it while wearing it?
I said as a tariff policy is an ongoing process.
Okay. So there's just like a period where you don't have stats. That sucks. Like blood pressure and stuff like that would be cool. Like it just gives me like the
Asset on
like,
Trade says
average.
discussing changes with food products.
Yeah, I'd love to have like blood pressure and like more in-depth stats that actually mean something to me than just like HRV, you know? I will never wear a ring. Have you seen those the videos of the rings that like blew up and like degloved people's fingers? I will never wear a ring. It's a cool idea, but like if they have to saw that thing off me and there's a lithium battery around the entire thing, that's terrifying. At least with the watch, they just cut the strap and then we're done.
Asset says Trump is focused on affordability, surely expecting the Federal Reserve operation data as well.
I can't believe I'm still here just watching this go sideways. I mean, it's doing what we want. It's holding and it's making higher lows,
Precedent
and
trade
Russell's
is
doing
tariff
the
policy needs
oscillation.
enforcement
So
against transshipment.
like it's doing the thing. It's just gonna take forever. This is the same problem that we had at our lows, right? Which is like NQ and ES will do these rotations while Russell oscillates, and as long as like that RTY low is holding, we keep going up. Like I need that downtrend. I would trail. What is your DOM even showing me?
18 counterparties take $5.886 billion at Federal Reserve repo operation.
So what, you're in at 74? Is that what that says? Hmm. 74. I mean, dude, like as long as we're holding this and we're not re-offering it, like you're good. That's the issue though, is like it might even wick below this. So your stop has to be like 68 technically. If you want it to be like, if your entry is 74, like this is your risk, and what you're looking for is, are we getting back into this value or
As
not?
it says, the rate of food increases
Right.
is down to almost nothing.
So you can keep it like this is your risk, this POC to this value. So to me, it's like, okay, if I understand that, then I have to keep my stop below this wick low. And then I'm watching to reverse that trade if we take out that wick low and then we re-offer this area, and then I would flip to short. But I think we just go to 87 and this holds. That's my thesis right now. Because like as long as this buyer is here, like it doesn't matter. This is just a dip into that buyer, and then we have this offer above that's just gonna slap us down. The issue is like there's just nothing above for us. Like this seems like a bait. Like we have to go higher to then go lower. That's what it feels like to me. But I'm also incredibly biased. Like I am so biased right now. It's crazy. Which is kind of why I want to leave. It's like I'm just gonna stay at my log and call it a day. Well, because I am too biased up here. I think you have to have your stop at 68 on that wick low on the 15. And then you're playing off of that 74, 72 area as your bid, right, where that POC is. But like I just don't know how volatile this area is going to be, because like as long as this low is holding, right, this low here, we're just watching to see if this then flips offer on the other side for a continuation down after we tag that guy, because it'll go bid again if we ever get back up after tagging this low. It'll be an immediate bid over 75s. We need to see that offer lower here into this on retest, holding this POC as resistance. As soon as we see that, then we go down, because then these guys are trapped. But as long as this is maintaining, like this stop has to kind of just be here, sadly. And I know that's a bit wide for you. I don't think you want to risk 6 points. I get that. But I don't really know what else to do in this area. Because like just a little wick low into this isn't going to shift the market at all. So you'd have to see something like someone gets trapped up here, and then we would then have like a reason to believe that this then goes down. I don't know, it's a really tough area. Because like this is our risk off, right? Like I don't have, I'm only in a runner at this point because I don't have the answer. It's very hard for me to want to look for continuation above until we can get above our ORL and ORH on the day. Because all I'm seeing here is like us trying to build here at this value, and our target is just this value high. But everything in here is this POC to value high is resistance, right? So like this is where supply is currently sitting and we're eating into, right? So like I don't have, there isn't a great answer, sadly. Like you kind of have to just like believe that we're gonna keep going. I wish I had more. Like until we can hold this edge here at our at this value, then we can look up. But until then, like we know that this is supply.
Alistair says that I'll stay in the administration if I'm not selected for Fed.
It's just rough. It is just rough. But yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, we've recovered VWAP at 72. Like, our target is that 86, 88 area, that ORL. I just, like, Russell just keeps hitting its head on that VWAP in that 30-second opening range. Like, I don't know what we do short term. Do we just chop here for an hour? Do we need to take out that low first and then, like, look for liquidity? Like maybe that actually is what we need to do, where like we need to trap down here first, and then we can go up.
2024's total now second all time.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think that's smart. Yeah, I get you. That's why I've been doing this thing where it's like I'll stay.
Fed says I could be ready to work right away, and I have Fed experience.
I'll stay in like my initial position for the higher time frame, and then just counter trend scalp on a different market, so that I just don't touch it. Because if I try to average up too many times, then like it's with the volatility that we're experiencing right now, like I'm just gonna get stopped out. So I have to build up a buffer with profit from counter trend scalping so that I can have a wider stop, and then like that stop out doesn't affect me because like I built a buffer of P&L accounting for it. That's the only way mentally I can handle it, because I'm right there with you. Like I don't know. I need to develop a better system for that because to me that makes sense, but to others that might not make any sense. Do you guys get what I'm saying when I talk about that? Where it's like if I can stay in my short from higher, then I can have a wider stop on it for invalidation.
Canada meeting minutes. Fed's Marriage says I'm in favor of using Fed's balance sheet more judiciously than it has in the past.
Right, so I can short here, for example, on ES and have a very wide stop of 6 points, but then I'm playing NQ into this low in the opposite direction, and I'm building a buffer so that I'm basically making this stop free on my ES short. So I'm looking, because I'm like, okay, we're not going to go below this or above this. So then I'm shorting here, and then on every rotation, I'm buying this low, and then I'm just playing this while we chop sideways, and I'm building out my break even on
Myron
this trade.
Says that QE may be overused in the past.
That's what
QE
I'm talking
maybe
about.
was overused in the past.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That's how I've personally come to learn how to play that area. Like these areas where I just am unsure. Especially when we're very wiki in our edges, it's too much for me. So it's just like, okay, I'm gonna step back and just keep a limit there, and then do what I feel comfortable doing, which is scalping at our edges. But that's definitely not for everyone, right? Like some people are gonna be more freaked out by that. I don't know, I need to be able to. It's something I'm going to try to work on a bit more, is having a higher time frame play that I'll post, as well as shorter term scalps on how we get there.
Heads up, White House Press Secretary Levitt has begun speaking. Remember, the video is on the feed for you to watch. It's also on the left-hand side on the economic calendar. If you just click on the name, it'll pop up as well.
That is something that I will be focusing more
Also
so
said
on.
about 5 minutes ago until we get the
in the
bank
next couple
calendar
weeks.
2 minutes as well.
Something that you can just kind of like chill in with, micros, and just like let that go all the way up to target, and then I will be taking smaller trendy scalps like usual. I think that'll be good for both kinds of participants that don't want to sit here. This Russell like shift is scaring the shit out of me. This looks like
White
our
House
rotation
economic
down.
advisor has said on AI since increasing productivity of workers, firms, and capital, and creating huge amount of value. Markets will work out who captures the value.
So like right now I'm doing exactly what I just talked about, which is I'm still in my runners from our 70 low on NQ, but I've now shorted
As said
our
on AI, says
64.6.
valuation could be really high as productivity rises.
Right, so I'm long from here, and I'm staying in this position on my runners, but I'm short on our flip of our pivot here on Russell.
Fed's Myron says it's difficult to quantify AI productivity growth potential.
And that allows me to then stop out of my runners, break even, and then be in a short position already from our pivot above on RTY to then have a lead for the direction. Right, like if this continues up and
As said
this
on the economy
holds and
says
then we
that we will
pop,
have more
then
policy
I'm feeling
proposals.
pretty good about this because we just continued on our way, and then I'm in from the lows. But if I get stopped out here, I can still take profit into first target,
FBI director
covering this trade.
China agreed on plans to stop fentanyl precursors.
And then I can get stopped out of here for break even, basically making this a scratch trade because I've taken one contract off into our low, and then my stop is just these profits from here. Right, and then I can just keep being in this, and if we break below, then I have a trade here. But if we stop out here, I've already taken most of my profit off into this, and then I stop out of this for break even, and then I'm in a position on Russell, right? You get me? So it's just like I'm playing both edges. But the point is that I've taken off most of my size into this area on NQ. And now we're just in a runner. So no matter what, these two trades are profitable. Yeah, and that's just balancing risk.
From the Bank of Canada meeting minutes, ahead of the Bank of Canada rate announcement, the governing council members agreed to look through choppy inflation for indicators of underlying inflation. Members felt indicators of underlying inflation would give signals about trend of total inflation. Members expressed concern that weakness in the labor force could persist and broaden. Discussions with companies indicated that if the US demand weakened further, that could lead to more job losses. Members had a range of views at timing of cut, but arguments for a move in October were considered more important. Some members felt waiting would provide them with more information about the economy, jobs, and inflation. White House says that tonight the White House is hopeful the shutdown will end.
Yeah, I hope so as well.
We have posted out the Bank of Canada meeting minutes on the feed for you to read through. Levitt says October CPI and jobs data likely never to be released.
Never. It's a secret.
Levitt adds that federal statistical system may have permanently been damaged.
What? Oh, these people, man.
White House says Levitt says October jobs report will likely never be released.
Hell yeah. That's a crazy. That is just. Hell yeah. All right. I mean, there's not much for me to do here, guys. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna go take my dog out. I'm gonna stay in my runners here on NQ. There's nothing else to do. Hopefully that was our dip, and then we get a rip here on Russell. But yeah, I don't know. And this is just another full rotation. We're just waiting to see which way we break on this pivot. Our lows are still maintaining. There's really not much to talk about here. It's just choppy garbage at our highs. Yeah, later, club. Oh, this is like an actual conference. How did I miss that? They need a villain, man. Dude, I love these new seats that are just like oh, that's so funny. Uh-huh. It's crazy that all these new media seats have no bias and ask very real and serious questions. Flip of our pivot on Russell, rotating back up to our highs. NQ flirting with us. I just want to close at 650 so that I can leave. Is that too much to ask? I'm risking off one here on NQ. So he knew. Wait, she just said it. Wait, what? I don't think she meant to say that. Hmm. All right. I'm just sitting stops. I'm out of here. Levitt speaking. I've got a stop at 40, 50, 60, and then that's my remaining is just open air. We'll see. If Russell can hold this pivot, great. If not, we trap here for even longer, and I'm not staying here the whole day. So, just in runners. I have 4 contracts left. Average is 73 on NQ. I'm not sitting here with Levitt speaking. They're baiting me. Goodbye. I'm so excited for Mario to be back so that I can leave at 12:30. Hey, and look, I actually showed up at 9:30 today, guys. See? Got an extra hour out of me. Almost 2 hours out of me.
White House, when asked about report on US considering building a base on Gaza
Yeah, I
border,
don't know.
says this is not something the US is interested in.
Goodbye,
being
goodbye.
engaged in.